Mark my words, growth is not an option but an obligation. Yes, I mean what I said. Look at the nature around, the plants, the animals. Why there? Look at us ourselves, the human beings. We all grow. The very nature that life exists is that there should be growth. When growth is such inevitable thing, why not grow at 10x? Yes, growth is no longer an option but an obligation. Hi, this is Rajeev YSR, your 10x growth expert. Yes, I'm an engineer by qualification, bachelor's and master's from IIT Madras 2010 batch. And then I have worked across multiple startups as well as MNCs. I've started my career with TVS Motor Company as design engineer, then worked with Bosch as part of its global leadership program, then with Mahindra & Mahindra, and then joined a company called Topper.com as their sales head. And right now, I am the chief operating officer for an organization called Avan India. While this is my professional career, I am an ardent believer and a follower of 10x growth principles. Yes, I strongly believe that everyone needs to achieve the best in their lives, and if only all of us achieve that best in our lives and the quantified term for achieving that best is 10x, then this world would be a better place for all of us to live. Well, you might wonder what 10x growth all about is. Let me tell you what 10x growth is not about. It is not about efficiency. It is not about productivity. Well, I know you are confused. Let me make that very clear to you. Look at a human being. What is the best speed that he could run on an average? 20 kilometers per hour. We are not talking about a human being running at 120 or 150 kilometers per hour. We are talking about a cheetah which runs at 120 to 150 kilometers per hour. Okay, I know it's getting clearer. Let me give you another example. Do you see a car that we drive in the city? We drive at probably 60 to 90 kilometers per hour. And we are not talking about a car that drives at 600 to 900 kilometers per hour, but a flight that flies above the clouds at 600 to 900 kilometers per hour. We are not talking about the tallest building called Burj Khalifa, which is around 800 meters. No! We are talking about the Mount Everest, which is about 8,000 meters. So 10x growth is all about the perspective. It's not an efficiency increase, it's not a productivity increase. It is all about change in the perception with which we think and change the platform and elevate the platform from which we operate and think. Well, with the examples that I've given you, I'm sure you're a bit closer to what 10x growth is all about. But if you're still thinking about 10x growth, let me put a small question. Answer this to me. Who, according to you, is the biggest enemy acting against your growth? Well, it's not that colleague that you're talking about, nor is it that friend that you're thinking about. You know who is the biggest enemy that often acts against our own growth? It's our own mind. Yes, before you defeat and before you conquer the world, legends say that you need to conquer your mind first. Mind plays such an important role. Let me share a small story with you of how our own thoughts and our own limitations can hinder our growth. Once upon a time, in a small town, there used to be a beautiful circus. And every evening, people flock around that circus. Especially for the students, they would run from their schools only to pester their parents to take them to that circus. Of many things that happened in the circus, the star of the show was an elephant. Yeah. Why? Because such a huge, gigantic elephant, and when it makes its entry onto the stage, it just cannot be ignored. Every footstep of that mammoth would be felt by the audience. And when that walks, comes onto the stage and does the feats, there is no option for the audience but to be mesmerized and lost into the trance. One evening, an unfortunate incident happened. There was a short circuit in the circus, and the whole circus was caught in fire. Of course, whosoever could escaped out of the fire, but there was huge loss to the circus. Birds flew, animals ran, and people thought that of course this great gigantic elephant would also come unhurt. But surprisingly, when the authorities came the next day, doused the fire off to see what happened, that elephant succumbed to the fire and died where it was. Everyone in the town, including the organizers of the circus, were stunned and surprised. Then when they looked at it, they realized that the elephant was tied to a small wooden bit that was drilled into the ground. All it takes for the elephant is to move its one of the limbs, and then that wooden bit will be out of its place and out of the ground. But that did not happen. You know why? Listen to this very carefully. When the elephant was a baby elephant, probably that elephant was tied to that wooden bit. And when it was tied, probably as a baby elephant, it would have attempted to overcome its strength once, twice, thrice, or multiple times. I'm sure while growing up, the elephant would have tried to overcome, to relieve itself of the bondage that it was in, and to really free itself. But it was never able to prevail the strength of that wooden bit. And it's so registered in the mind of the elephant that that particular bondage is too strong for it to break. And you know the end. When the right time has come, when the elephant was engulfed in the fire and smoke, all it could take for the elephant is just to wave off its leg and it would be freed. But then the mental limitation the elephant was carrying since its childhood did not allow the elephant to attempt that, and it costed its life. My friends, how many of us today are like these elephants? We would have attempted something in the past. We would have tried something in the past. It is okay, we would have failed. But how many of us have taken it for granted that we are failures for all the time? How many of you came to a conclusion that whatsoever you attempt would never succeed? Are you like that elephant, where you are allowing your past results to define your future actions and growth? If that were the case, look at the end of the elephant. It was so sad and pathetic. And I sincerely appeal to you that your end should not be as to that of the elephant. But I want you to realize that inherent immense potential that God has blessed you with, so that when you realize it and it is time for you to break off, to shake off, to break all such bondages that you have and come out victorious. And in the next couple of minutes, I'm going to give you those tools, those techniques, those tips that are required to achieve the 10x growth in your life. Excited? Then continue to watch on. Have you heard these statements that were made in general? Hey, you know this guy? Whatsoever he touches turns gold. Or you know that lady? whatsoever she touches turns into ashes. I'm sure you would have heard these statements. I'm sure sometimes you would have been tempted to position yourself in that and think that, hey, you know what? Whatsoever I touch doesn't succeed at all. Now, let me give you the scientific logic / reason behind it. Now, in my attempt of explaining the scientific reason behind it, let me make use of one of the engineering principles that I used during my career, which I call as reverse engineering. What is this reverse engineering? Reverse engineering is where we start with the result and work backwards towards the design of elements. We are going to deploy the same schema now to understand this logic. Okay? Now, how can we get 10x results? We can get 10x results when our actions are 10x oriented. And how will our actions be 10x oriented? When our thoughts are 10x oriented. Now, how come our thoughts be 10x oriented? When our belief system is 10x oriented. Now, listen to this very, very carefully. 10x results demand 10x actions that originate from 10x thoughts, which are inspired from 10x belief system. Now that you understood this, listen to this even more carefully. Your results, whatsoever we have witnessed, become the base for your belief system. Yes, those results convert into experiences, and those experiences influence your belief system. So if your results are always successful, if your results are always positive, that means your experiences are always positive and successful. And when you operate from the frame of successful experience, your belief system would be positive, and your thoughts that originate from this belief system would be positive and results oriented. And so your actions also would be success oriented, and your results would be 10x or successful results. Now, while this is the positive side of it, let's look at the negative thing. If you think that your results are always negative, your results become your own negative experiences and influence your belief system. So when your belief system is negative, everything that you start with the notion of failure. So your thoughts will be towards failure, your actions are failure oriented, and no doubt your results are failure oriented, and this becomes a vicious downward spiral. I know how it feels when you understand this crux of it. Now, I want you to introspect yourself. Are you operating in this downward spiral where everything that you touch turns down south? Or are you operating in the upward spiral? Don't worry, my friends. I'm going to tell you now how one can operate in this upward cycle and then achieve 10x growth in life. Great. I know how excited you are having heard the technique so far. But let me tell you, there is much more to come. And all of this is for you so that you can apply all of these principles in life and achieve 10x growth. So what is 10x growth at the core? 10x growth at the core is mindset. As I speak about mindset, let me reflect upon the wonderful work done by a PhD scholar called Carol Dweck from Stanford University, where she wrote an article on the new psychology of success, where she impressed upon different kinds of mindsets people carry and how growth mindset people are bound to achieve success. Are you excited? Then watch on. Now, in life, what are different circumstances that we come across? Of course, we come across challenges, we come across obstacles, we come across situations where we need to put in efforts, we face criticism, we will also witness success of others. Now, while these are different instances in life, Carol Dweck's work evaluates and demonstrates how people with fixed mindset and growth mindset behave differently in these situations? Let's get into the details. When people come across challenges, the people with fixed mindset avoid these challenges. They really don't want to encounter these challenges, whereas people with growth mindset embrace them. And especially when obstacles come in the pathway, people with fixed mindset give up so easily. Maybe they might attempt once, twice, thrice, but fourth time they give it up. But it's not the case with growth mindset people. They would be persistent in their efforts. Now let me share a small story at this point of time of what does persistence mean. Again, in a small village, there lived a young handsome man. Unfortunately, this person was always at home most of the times. And people always used to call him lazy, always used to call him good for nothing, and not so impressive at all. And dejected and disappointed, this particular young man once went to the mountain to jump off the cliff and end his life. While he was about to take that step, he was stopped by a voice from the skies. The voice said, "Hey young man, why are you doing what you are doing?" The young man, surprised, looked around only to realize that it was God who was speaking to him. So the young man responded to God, "God, what's the use of my life? Everyone, including my own family members, friends, and the society, call me useless. So why should I even live?" And then God really wanted to teach him a lesson. So God said to the young man, "Hey, you know what? Of course you can die, but just for a few months, do what I say to you, and after that, you can take your choice." Well, the young man wanted to give a try to what God would say. So God took this young man very close to a rock nearby. The rock was really big, and God told the young man, "Tomorrow onwards, push this rock." The young man did not understand, but since he has already given that word to God, he said, "Yes, I would push this rock." From that day on, every morning at 6 a.m., the young man wakes up, comes to this mountain, and starts pushing this rock. He was doing it day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. Well, the people were always noticing and observing him. What's exactly is happening in this young man's life? He would come before the sunrise, starts pushing the rock until the sunset, and goes back home. After almost a year, the rock did not move from that place at all. Confused, the young man again looked to the God and said, "Hey God, what happened? I have been pushing this for the past 1 year and the rock did not move an inch too. There is no change in situation at all. Why should I continue to live?" Then the Lord came down and spoke to the young man and showed it this. "Young man, you are right. The rock did not move. There is no change in your perspective. But let me tell you, look at your arms. They are not the same. Look at your ab and your abdomen. It's not the same. Look at your thighs and your calf muscles and your legs. They are not the same. You are no longer the same feeble, weak, lazy young man whom people saw 1 year ago. Now you are a strong, young personality. You have got something called discipline in your life. And with that strength that you have achieved, you can do anything in life. Now go and show the world your true worth." Surprised, the young man understood the lesson God wanted him to teach. Why this story, my friends? That's the power of being persistent. You cannot give up obstacles so easily. Well, it might appear as that rock which would not move at all. But then, because of your consistent efforts, the change comes in you. You become more tougher, you become stronger, and you become better. Great, let's move on. When it comes to situations where efforts are to be put in, The fixed mindset people think that as futile or worse, because fixed mindset people are of an opinion that if I were to put in efforts, then it is not in natural alignment with my strengths. Whereas growth mindset people, they look at efforts as pathway to mastery. And when faced with criticism, fixed mindset people ignore useful negative feedback, whereas growth mindset people learn from their criticism. And when encountered with success of others, fixed mindset people feel insecure and threatened by the success of others, whereas growth mindset people get inspired by success of others and they find lessons from the lives of others and they will try and start adopting those in their lives. So, all put together, simply put, what did we say? If you are in the fixed mindset framework, it is time for you to abhor that framework and embrace growth mindset framework. And if you are embracing the growth mindset framework, this is what you ought to do. When you are encountering challenges, you need to embrace the challenges. When you come across obstacles, you should overcome them. You should be persistent in your efforts to overcome them and not give up. And efforts are always to be seen as pathway towards mastery. When you are confronted with criticism, identify that as a means to improve. When you come across success of others, be inspired, not be insecure. And this will help you to put yourself into 10x growth mindset. Eureka moment, is it? Of course, cherish the moment. Yes, now I'm sure you almost understood what 10x growth is and what are the requirements to achieve 10x growth. Let me tell you once again, my friends, incremental mindset will not give us exponential results. If you need 10x results, you need to operate in 10x frame. So what have we learned so far? We have learned how one needs to behave or one needs to adopt 10x growth mindset. And we have also seen that beautiful upward spiral where your experiences influence your belief system and your belief system provokes your thoughts and your thoughts initiate your actions and your actions results in the results. And again, your results become the experiences and once again influence your belief system. When your results and your belief system and your thoughts and actions are 10x oriented, you have no option but to grow at 10x scale and at 10x speed. But for all of this to happen, you need to understand and you need to operate from the framework of a beautiful and very important concept called Ikigai. I am sure some of you have heard this word called Ikigai, but always wondered what this Ikigai is all about. Don't worry, I'm here to make you familiarize with this term called Ikigai and help you understand what it is all about. So Ikigai comes from the Japanese language, which means the purpose of existence or happiness. Now, what forms the core of Ikigai? The core of Ikigai is always you. You become the core of Ikigai. What is your purpose? What is your passion? What is your alignment forms the core of Ikigai? Well, I know these are two big jargon words, but let me break them down and make it very simpler for you to understand. First of all, you need to answer these questions before we understand what Ikigai is. Who am I? What do I love the most? Am I good at what I love? Does the world need it? Will I be paid for it? Well, I know it is faster. Now let me slow it down for you. Reflect and think who you are. Well, you might say that I'm an engineer, I'm a manager, I'm a teacher. My friend, that's what your profession is. But go a layer deeper and understand and identify who you are. Most of the times, this question can be answered by a supplementary question: what do you love to do? What do you love to do defines who you are. And what you love to do, the other word to it is also called as passion. So identify where your passion lies. Is your passion into singing and lyrics writing, but you are writing code in front of the computer? Is your passion into cricket and to hit sixes, but you are doing a chef job? Is your passion into teaching, connect with people, encourage students, but you are doing something else? Identify what your passion is. What do you love to do? That becomes your passion. Now, if you love to do something, are you actually good at what you love to do? Well, this is called skill. If you are good at what you love to do, absolutely great. If you are not good at what you love to do, don't worry. Skills can always be acquired. Now that you identified what you love to do and your strengths and capabilities about doing it at the best of your abilities, the third question that you need to answer is, does the world need it? Right? And this is called opportunity. If the world needs what you love to do, that means you have an opportunity. Then the following question, not just that the world needs it, but is the world ready to pay for it? That becomes your reward. We have heard 4 important words so far. First thing, passion. Second thing, skill. Third, opportunity. Fourth, reward. Imagine in this direction, look at this circle. When your passion, your skill, opportunity and reward, when all of these things fall into concurrent circles, overlap with one another, and the core of all of it is you, then let me tell you that you are operating from the frame of Ikigai and you are operating from the frame of 10x. Ikigai is not rocket science, my friend. Ikigai is where your passion, your mission, your vocation and your profession meet. You are good at what you love to do. When you are good at what you love to do, that would never become a boring job for you. Even if you are wide of certain skills at what you love to do, you can easily acquire, and those efforts would never appear to be as Herculean task. Those would appear to be cakewalk. And when you are good at what you love to do, and the world needs it and it is ready to reward you, that's all. You don't have to work a single day. You don't have to chase what is called growth, because growth comes chasing after you. My friends, I'm very, very happy to stand this evening in front of you and share these words. So far, we have seen what 10x growth is all about. Let me reiterate once again. Growth is not an option, but an obligation that you and I need to achieve. When growth is inevitable and unavoidable, why not achieve a 10x scale? We have seen multiple techniques and tools that are required to achieve 10x growth. We have seen the upward spiral 10x circle. We have also seen the growth mindset. And lastly, we have seen the Ikigai framework from which we need to operate. When we do all of it, we are bound to achieve 10x growth. Well, you might say, am I sure will I achieve this 10x growth? Is it so easy? Well, let me share certain examples with you. I'm sure you all know this guy, one of the greatest Indian captains the cricket team has ever seen. MS Dhoni. Yes. What was he? Well, you and I might think that he was a cricketer now, but then how he started? He started as a ticket collector. But he realized when somebody questioned him what he was, he never said that he was a ticket collector. He said to himself that he was a cricketer. He followed that passion. You also saw in that movie how he learns that helicopter shot from his friend. He filled that skill gap. Then he saw an opportunity to play in Ranjis. He saw an opportunity to play for his railway team. And he also realized that he would be rewarded for it. And he positioned exactly himself in the center of the Ikigai. And you know the story of MS Dhoni. Not just that, a greatest businessman that India has ever seen, Mr. Dhirubhai Ambani, late. Business was his passion. He worked almost for 30 years before starting his own business. He started with a small trading industry that trades yarn, from where he moved into textile, and we know the brand called Vimal, the only Vimal. And from there on, you know the Reliance Empire, right? They are into textile, they are into petroleum, they are into telecom, they are into everything. Why? Because he followed his ikigai of building businesses. Let me also share another example. The great human being who lived on the earth, Mother Teresa. You know what was the ikigai of Mother Teresa? It was to serve people. When Mother Teresa was 12 years old, that was when she realized what her ikigai was. She knew that her calling was into serving people. Though she was a teacher, but she always realized that her calling was to serve people. Especially after the Bengal famine in 1943, she started the Missionaries of Charity in 1950 with just 2 saris of blue border. In fact, to ensure that she serves people, she also identified that she lacks the skill of basic medical training. So in Patna, before even starting this Missionaries of Charity, she got herself trained in the basic medical expertise. And I really like this beautiful statement of Mother Teresa that she makes. My work may be a small drop in the ocean, but that ocean will be lessened because of that missing drop. Look at the humility that she carried, and at the same time, look at the way she acknowledges at work. So, when people follow ikigai, they are bound to achieve 10x growth. These are just few examples I shared with you, my friends. I'm sure when you look at world around, you will find enough examples. In fact, stop looking at world around for a while and start looking inside. You have that story of ikigai which is inside you. Probably it is possible that nobody told you that until now, or nobody woke you up from that slumber. It's time now for you to wake up from that slumber, understand what your ikigai is, and achieve what is truly yours, that is 10x growth. When you and I and all of us realize this and bring the best out of our lives, don't you think the world would be a better place to live? Don't you think there is no room for poverty? Don't you think there is no room for hungry? Don't you think there is no room for any kind of adversities in life? Wouldn't this world be a beautiful place for all of us to live? So what are you waiting for? Find your ikigai now, pick up those techniques that were told until now, and embrace your journey in achieving 10x growth. All the very best. Rajeev YSR, always committed to your success, your 10x growth expert. Thank you very much.